As we navigate the winding path of life, we often encounter a subtle yet profound transition, the gradual shift from a largely sociable existence to one that is more solitary and introspective. This transformation, far from being an isolated phenomenon, is a shared experience for many, especially as we advance in age. In this text, we will explore the nuances of this journey, from the effervescent days of youth to the more contemplative moments of old age, analyzing how our perceptions, values, and needs evolve over time. The effervescence of youth, a world of connections. At the dawn of our lives, we are driven by an almost insatiable desire for connection. Youth is, in its essence, a time of discovery, not only of the world around us, but also of ourselves through the prism of the relationships we form. In this phase, our energy seems inexhaustible, and each new encounter carries with it the promise of exciting experiences and transformative learnings. The active search for social connections. Young people, for the most part, are naturally inclined to seek out and nurture social connections. This inclination is not merely a whim of age, but a fundamental necessity for personal and social development. Through these interactions, we learn to navigate the complexities of human relationships, to understand different perspectives, and to shape our own identity. At parties, gatherings of friends, or simply in casual encounters, young people throw themselves wholeheartedly into social exchanges. There's a palpable excitement in meeting new people, in sharing stories, and in creating memories together. Each new friend represents a universe of possibilities, a chance to expand horizons and see the world through new eyes. The home as a social center. In this phase of life, our homes often transform into social hubs. Hosting friends is not just an occasional activity, but an integral part of our routine. The living room becomes a stage for animated conversations that extend late into the night. The kitchen, a laboratory for shared culinary experiments, and each room a potential space for creating deeper bonds. There's a special joy in opening the doors of our home to others. It's a gesture that goes beyond simple hospitality. It's a declaration of trust, a way of saying, "You are welcome in my most intimate space." These home gatherings are often the cradle of lasting friendships, of romances that blossom, and of memories we carry throughout our lives. The value of sincere friendship. In youth, sincere friendship is an invaluable treasure. There's a purity in the relationships formed at this time, an honesty that is often lost as the years pass. The friends of our youth are those with whom we share our first great achievements, our boldest dreams, and also our deepest insecurities. These friendships are forged in the heat of shared experiences. The all-nighters studying for exams, the impromptu trips, the broken hearts, and the celebrations of small victories. There's a vulnerability in these relationships that allows a level of intimacy rarely achieved in later stages of life. The sincerity of these friendships also serves as a mirror, reflecting our qualities and flaws. Through these relationships, we learn valuable lessons about loyalty, empathy, and the true meaning of being present for someone. The transition, when the wind changes direction. As the years pass and we enter adulthood, we begin to notice a subtle change in our relationship with the social world. This transition doesn't occur overnight, but is a gradual process, often imperceptible at first. It's as if the wind that once constantly pushed us towards others begins to change direction, blowing us more and more inward. The weight of life. Experiences. Each life experience leaves its mark, and over time, these marks accumulate, shaping our worldview and our social interactions, relationships that ended badly, betrayals of trust, professional disappointments. All these experiences contribute to growing caution in our social interactions. We begin to realize that not all connections are beneficial or sincere. We learn, often the hard way, that the vulnerability we once shared so freely can leave us exposed to hurt and disappointment. This realization leads many to erect emotional barriers, carefully filtering who we allow into our inner circle. The shift in priorities. With maturity, our priorities naturally transform. Professional, family, and personal responsibilities begin to demand an increasingly larger share of our time and energy. What was once dedicated almost exclusively to social life now needs to be divided among multiple obligations. A professional career, for example, often requires a focus and dedication that leaves little room for the carefree social life of youth. For many, professional development becomes a priority, leading to long hours at work and less time available for socializing. Similarly, starting a family brings with it a new set of responsibilities and priorities. The time once spent on long nights with friends is now devoted to children, partners, and the demands of home. This shift, although often welcome and rewarding, inevitably alters the dynamics of our social relationships. The discovery of the value of solitude. As we navigate these changes, many of us begin to discover the value of solitude. What once might have been perceived as unwanted loneliness gradually transforms into precious moments of peace and introspection. We begin to appreciate silence, not as an absence of sound, but as a presence rich in possibilities for self-reflection and personal growth. Moments of solitude become opportunities to recharge our energies, to reconnect with our deepest thoughts and feelings, and to cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves. This discovery often comes with a sense of liberation. We realize that we no longer need constant external validation or the continuous presence of others to feel complete or fulfilled. There's a strength that is born from this emotional self-sufficiency, a confidence that develops when we learn to appreciate our own company. Maturation, redefining our social relationships as the years pass and experiences accumulate, our approach to social relationships undergoes a significant transformation. This period of maturation is marked by a profound reevaluation of how we interact with others and the role these interactions play in our lives. The perception of hypocrisy in relationships. One of the most impactful revelations that comes with age is the perception of hypocrisy present in many social relationships. As we become more observant and experienced, we begin to notice the discrepancies between people's words and actions around us. Friendships that once seemed unshakable may reveal themselves to be superficial or self-interested. Colleagues who appeared solicitous may demonstrate selfish motivations behind their actions. This growing awareness of human duplicity can be disheartening, leading many to question the authenticity of the relationships they've cultivated over the years. This perception of hypocrisy not only makes us more skeptical of new connections, but also causes us to re-evaluate existing relationships. We begin to value quality over quantity in our social interactions, preferring a smaller circle of genuine friendships to an extensive network of superficial connections. Changes in social expectations. With maturation, our expectations regarding social interactions also transform. What was once a constant search for new experiences and emotions becomes a preference for more meaningful and profound encounters. Trivial conversations and superficial social events, which once filled our schedules, begin to lose their appeal. In their place, we seek interactions that enrich us intellectually and emotionally. We prefer deep discussions on topics that interest us to casual conversations about everyday matters. Moreover, our expectations regarding the behavior of others also change. We become less tolerant of attitudes we consider immature or irresponsible, expecting a higher level of responsibility and consideration in our social interactions. The preference for introspection. As we mature, many of us discover a growing need for introspection. Moments of solitude, once feared or avoided, become increasingly valued as opportunities for reflection and self-knowledge. This preference for introspection doesn't necessarily mean a complete withdrawal from social interactions, but rather a change in how we approach them. We begin to seek a balance between moments of connection with others and periods of solitude, recognizing the value of both for our emotional and mental well-being. Introspection allows us to process our experiences, reevaluate our values and goals, and develop a deeper understanding of who we are. This self-knowledge in turn empowers us to establish more authentic and meaningful relationships when we choose to connect with others. The withdrawal from frequent social interactions. With all these changes, it's natural that many people begin to gradually withdraw from frequent social interactions. This withdrawal isn't necessarily a sign of isolation or depression, but rather a conscious choice based on a new understanding of our needs and priorities. Social events that were once considered unmissable may now seem tiresome or purposeless. The energy that was previously directed towards maintaining a wide social network is now channeled into activities more aligned with our personal interests and values. This withdrawal can also be seen as a form of self-preservation. By reducing the number of social interactions, we protect ourselves from potential disappointments and conflicts, creating a more controlled and harmonious environment in our lives. Old age, the refuge in tranquility. As we enter the more advanced stages of life, the tendency towards a more solitary existence often intensifies. Old age brings with it a new perspective on life, relationships, and the value of inner peace. This phase is frequently marked by an even greater preference for tranquility and a desire to maintain a serene and controlled personal environment. The home as a sanctuary. In old age, the home ceases to be the social center it was in youth and transforms into a personal sanctuary. For many elderly individuals, their home becomes a refuge from the outside world, a space where they can enjoy peace and tranquility without the interruptions and demands of an active social life. This shift in the perception of domestic space leads many to avoid receiving frequent visits. What was once a source of joy, having the house full of friends and family, can now be seen as an intrusion into the carefully constructed routine and hard-won peace. The reluctance to receive visits isn't necessarily a sign of misanthropy, but rather an expression of the desire to maintain control over one's own environment and routine. For many elderly people, the predictability and calm of a tranquil home are essential for their physical and emotional well-being. The impact on social and family dynamics. This preference for solitude and tranquility in old age can have a significant impact on social and family dynamics. Children and grandchildren may feel frustrated or worried about what they perceive as isolation of their loved ones. Longtime friends may interpret the refusal of social invitations as personal rejection. However, it's crucial to understand that this change in behavior is often a conscious choice and not a sign of depression or decline. The elderly are, in many cases, simply prioritizing their inner peace and personal comfort over social expectations. This doesn't mean that the elderly don't value their family relationships and friendships. On the contrary, many maintain deep connections, but prefer more controlled and less frequent interactions. Phone calls, short and planned visits, or meetings in neutral environments may be preferable to long stays or large family gatherings. The search for meaning and legacy. In old age, many people turn inward in search of meaning and purpose. With most of their professional and family lives already lived, there's a natural desire to reflect on past experiences, evaluate the path traveled, and consider the legacy they will leave behind. This introspection can lead to an even greater withdrawal from superficial social interactions in favor of more contemplative activities. Many elderly individuals find satisfaction in spending time with their memories, organizing old photos, writing their life stories, or simply reflecting on the lessons learned over the years. Additionally, there's often a desire to transmit wisdom and experiences to younger generations. However, this doesn't always translate into frequent social interactions. Many prefer to share their wisdom through more controlled means, such as letters, diaries, or occasional conversations with chosen family members. The acceptance of mortality. A fundamental aspect of old age that contributes to this quest for solitude and tranquility is the growing acceptance of one's own mortality. As people age, the awareness that time is finite becomes more acute. This often leads to a profound re-evaluation of how one wishes to spend their remaining years. For many, this awareness results in a desire to simplify life eliminating relationships and activities that don't bring true satisfaction or meaning. There's a tendency to focus on the essential, both in material and emotional terms. This can manifest as a reduction of the social circle, maintaining only the deepest and most meaningful relationships. The proximity to death can also lead to a greater appreciation for quietude and contemplation. Many elderly individuals find comfort in moments of silence and reflection, using this time to make peace with their life, their choices, and their legacy. Loneliness as a natural part of life. As we explore this journey from youthful sociability to more pronounced solitude in old age, it's crucial to understand that this transition isn't necessarily negative. Loneliness, when accepted and embraced, can become a source of strength, personal growth, and serenity. Accepting loneliness. Accepting loneliness as a natural and potentially positive part of life is an important step in the aging process. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation to a state of isolation, but rather the recognition that moments of solitude can be valuable and enriching. For many, learning to be comfortable in one's own company is a significant achievement. It's a process that involves self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and the ability to find internal contentment, rather than constantly depending on external stimuli or the presence of other people. Loneliness as a path to serenity. Loneliness, when embraced in a healthy way, can be a path to achieving profound serenity, away from the noise and constant demands of the social world. Many people find a state of calm and balance that is difficult to achieve amid the bustle of an active social life. This state of serenity isn't characterized by the absence of thoughts or emotions, but rather by a peaceful acceptance of them. It's a space where people can process their experiences, reflect on their lives, and find a sense of inner peace. The wisdom that comes with solitude. Solitude offers fertile ground for the development of wisdom. Free from social distractions and pressures, people have the opportunity to deeply contemplate life lessons, ponder existential questions, and develop a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. This wisdom, born of solitary reflection, often manifests as greater empathy, a broader perspective on life, and an enhanced ability to deal with adversities. Paradoxically, this wisdom acquired in solitude can significantly enrich the social interactions that the person chooses to have, making them deeper and more meaningful. Balance in the third age. Although the tendency towards greater solitude in old age is common, it's important to recognize that each individual experiences aging in a unique way. The challenge in the third age is to find a balance that meets individual needs for solitude and social connection. Maintaining meaningful connections. Even with a growing preference for solitude, it's crucial to maintain some meaningful social connections. These relationships, although possibly less frequent or intense than in youth, play a vital role in maintaining emotional and mental well-being. Connections with family, close friends, or groups with shared interests can offer a sense of belonging and purpose. These interactions, when balanced with periods of solitude, can significantly enrich life in the third age. The importance of choice. A fundamental aspect of well-being in old age is the ability to choose when and how to engage socially. Having control over one's own social interactions, deciding when to receive visits, participate in group activities, or simply enjoy one's own company, is essential for maintaining a sense of autonomy and satisfaction. This freedom of choice allows the elderly to create a lifestyle that aligns with their individual needs and preferences, resulting in a more positive and rewarding aging experience, combating unwanted isolation. It's important to distinguish between chosen solitude and unwanted isolation. While many elderly individuals opt for a more solitary life, others may feel isolated against their will, whether due to physical limitations, loss of loved ones, or other circumstances. In these cases, it's crucial that society, families, and communities offer support and opportunities for social connection. Community programs, adapted communication technologies, and support networks can play a vital role in combating unwanted isolation, ensuring that those who desire more social interaction have access to it. Conclusion: embracing the journey. The transition from a highly sociable life in youth to a more solitary existence in old age is a complex and deeply personal journey. This transformation reflects not only changes in our external circumstances, but also an internal evolution of our needs, values, and understanding of ourselves. Throughout this journey, we move from the frantic search for social connections to a deeper appreciation of solitude. We learn that loneliness is not necessarily a state to be feared or avoided, but can be a source of strength, growth, and serenity. The key to successfully navigating this transition lies in acceptance. Acceptance of the changes in our social needs, acceptance of the growing importance of introspection and inner peace, and acceptance that our relationship with the social world can and should evolve over time. At the same time, it's crucial to maintain a healthy balance. Solitude, when embraced positively, can coexist harmoniously with meaningful social connections. It's not about choosing between total isolation and constant socialization, but about finding a middle ground that nurtures both our need for connection and our desire for peace and introspection. As we age, we have the opportunity to redefine what it means to live a full and satisfying life. For many, this means embracing a more tranquil and contemplative existence, rich in reflection and wisdom. It's a journey of continuous self-discovery, where each phase of life brings new perspectives and opportunities for growth. Ultimately, the transition to a more solitary life in old age is not an end, but a new beginning. It's a chance to explore the depths of our own company, to cultivate lasting inner peace, and to appreciate the richness that solitude can offer. By embracing this journey with openness and acceptance, we can discover that old age, with its tendency towards solitude, is actually a deeply gratifying and enriching chapter of our lives. This text offers a comprehensive reflection on the transition from a sociable life to a more solitary one as we age. It explores the various aspects of this journey, from the social effervescence of youth to the quest for tranquility in old age, highlighting the changes in priorities, expectations, and needs along the way. The reflection addresses important themes such as the discovery of the value of solitude, the impact of life experiences on our social relationships, the transformation of the home into a personal sanctuary, and the importance of finding a balance between solitude and social connection in the third age. The text also emphasizes that this transition to a more solitary life is not necessarily negative, but can be a source of serenity, wisdom, and personal growth, when embraced in a healthy way. To illustrate these concepts more vividly, let's consider the story of Sarah Thompson, a 75-year-old retired teacher living in a quiet suburb of Boston, Massachusetts. Sarah's journey, from social butterfly to solitude seeker. Sarah Thompson was once known as the life of the party in her hometown of Lexington, Massachusetts. Growing up in the 1960s, her high school years were filled with sock hops, drive-in movies, and countless sleepovers with her tight-knit group of friends. Her parents' home on Maple Street was always bustling with activity, the sound of laughter and music spilling out onto the porch, where teenagers gathered on warm summer evenings. Those were the days, Sarah reminisces, a wistful smile playing on her lips. Every weekend was an adventure. We'd pile into Tommy's Chevy and cruise down to the malt shop on Main Street. It felt like our whole lives were ahead of us, full of possibilities. As Sarah entered adulthood, her social circle expanded even further. She attended Boston University, where she studied education and continued to thrive in social settings. Her dorm room became a hub for study groups and late-night discussions about politics, philosophy, and dreams for the future. After graduation, Sarah began her teaching career at a local elementary school. Her enthusiasm and warm personality made her popular among both students and fellow teachers. She organized staff parties, volunteered for school events, and rarely turned down an invitation for after-work drinks or weekend barbecues. "I couldn't imagine a life that wasn't surrounded by people," Sarah explains the energy of a crowded room, the joy of shared laughter. "It was like oxygen to me." Sarah married her college sweetheart, Michael, and together they created a home that mirrored the social vibrancy of her youth. Their charming colonial house on Oak Avenue became known for its legendary dinner parties and 4th of July celebrations that drew neighbors from blocks around. However, as Sarah entered her 40s, she began to notice subtle shifts in her social preferences. The once energizing din of a packed party started to feel overwhelming at times. She found herself seeking moments of quiet during her busy school days, relishing the peace of an empty classroom during lunch breaks. It wasn't a sudden change, Sarah reflects. It was more like a gradual realization that I needed more time to recharge. The constant social interaction that once invigorated me started to feel draining. This shift coincided with significant life changes. Sarah's children left for college, and she and Michael became empty nesters. The house that once echoed with teenage laughter and the bustle of family life grew quieter. Initially, Sarah tried to fill the silence by throwing herself into more social activities, joining book clubs and volunteering organizations. But as she approached her 50s, Sarah found herself increasingly drawn to solitary pursuits. She rediscovered her love for reading, often spending entire weekends lost in novels. She took up gardening, finding peace in the quiet hours spent tending to her flowers and vegetables. There was a richness in solitude that I had never appreciated before, Sarah says. I started to hear my own thoughts more clearly, to understand myself in ways I never had, when I was constantly surrounded by others. This newfound appreciation for solitude didn't mean Sarah abandoned her social life entirely. She maintained close relationships with a small circle of friends and enjoyed quality time with her family. But the nature of these interactions changed. Instead of large gatherings, she preferred intimate dinners with 1 or 2 close friends. Rather than attending every school function, she chose to participate in the ones that truly resonated with her passion for education. As Sarah entered her 60s and retirement loomed, her preference for a quieter life became more pronounced. She and Michael downsized to a cozy cottage on the outskirts of Lexington, surrounded by nature. Their new home, while welcoming, was designed more for comfort and tranquility than for entertaining large groups. It was a conscious choice, Sarah explains. We wanted a space that reflected our new priorities: peace, reflection, and closeness to nature. Retirement brought with it a new rhythm to Sarah's life. Her days, once structured around bell schedules and faculty meetings, now flowed at a gentler pace. She found joy in simple routines: morning walks in the nearby woods, afternoons spent reading or writing in her sunlit study, evenings watching the sunset from her porch. There's a misconception that a solitary life is a lonely one, Sarah muses, but I found it to be incredibly fulfilling. I have the time and space to really think about my life, to appreciate the journey I've been on. This isn't to say that Sarah's transition to a more solitary life was without challenges. There were times when she questioned whether she was isolating herself too much. Her children, used to their mother's formerly busy social calendar, initially worried about her decreased social activity. They thought I was depressed or withdrawing from life, Sarah chuckles. It took some time for them to understand that this was a positive change for me, that I was choosing solitude rather than having it forced upon me. Sarah worked to find a balance that felt right for her. She maintained regular phone calls and video chats with her children and grandchildren. She joined a small writing group that met monthly, sharing stories and poems inspired by their life experiences. And while she no longer hosted large parties, she and Michael enjoyed having their closest friends over for intimate dinners a few times a month. Now at 75, Sarah looks back on her journey from social butterfly to solitude seeker with contentment and wisdom. Life is a series of chapters, she reflects. Each one brings its own joys and challenges. The key is to embrace the changes, to find what nourishes your soul in each stage of life. Sarah's story illustrates the natural evolution many people experience in their relationship with social interaction and solitude. Her journey from the center of every social gathering to someone who finds deep fulfillment in quiet reflection mirrors the broader themes discussed in our exploration of aging and solitude. As we consider Sarah's experience, we can see how the various aspects of this transition played out in a real-life context. the effervescence of youth. Sarah's high school and college years exemplify the intense sociability often associated with youth. Her need for constant social interaction and the energy she derived from it are typical of this life stage. The gradual shift. The changes in Sarah's social preferences didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual process that began in her 40s, illustrating how this transition often occurs over an extended period. Life changes as catalysts. Empty nesting and retirement served as significant catalysts in Sarah's journey towards a more solitary lifestyle, demonstrating how external life changes often coincide with and influence this internal shift. Discovering the value of solitude. Sarah's realization that solitude offered her a chance for self-discovery and peace reflects the positive aspects of embracing a more solitary lifestyle. In later years, redefining social connections. Rather than completely withdrawing from social life, Sarah redefined her social connections, preferring quality over quantity in her interactions. This illustrates the importance of maintaining meaningful relationships even as one embraces solitude. The home as a sanctuary. The transition from Sarah's lively family home to a quieter, nature-surrounded cottage in retirement exemplifies how living spaces often evolve to reflect changing needs and preferences in later life, balancing solitude and connection. Sarah's efforts to maintain connections with family and close friends while honoring her need for solitude demonstrate the importance of finding a personal balance between alone time and social interaction. Overcoming misconceptions. The initial concerns of Sarah's children highlight the common misconceptions about solitude in old age and the importance of communication in helping others understand this. Transition finding fulfillment. Ultimately, Sarah's contentment with her more solitary lifestyle in her 70s showcases how embracing this change can lead to a deeply satisfying and enriching phase of life. Sarah's journey serves as a relatable example of how the transition from a highly social life to a more solitary one can unfold. It underscores the idea that this shift, when embraced positively, can be a natural and fulfilling part of the aging process. As we reflect on Sarah's story and the broader themes it illustrates, we're reminded that the path to finding contentment in our later years is deeply personal. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to remain open to the changes that come with age, to listen to our evolving needs and preferences, and to find a lifestyle that brings us peace and fulfillment. For some, like Sarah, this might mean embracing a quieter, more introspective life. For others, it might involve maintaining a busy social calendar well into their later years. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to aging gracefully. What's crucial is that we approach this transition with mindfulness and self-compassion. It's about recognizing that our needs and desires may change over time, and that's perfectly okay. It's about giving ourselves permission to seek out what truly nourishes our soul, whether that's the stimulation of social interaction or the peace of solitude. As we navigate our own journeys through life's various stages, stories like Sarah's can serve as beacons, illuminating the myriad possibilities that lie ahead. They remind us that each phase of life brings its own unique gifts and challenges, and that there's beauty to be found in every chapter if we're open to embracing it. In the end, the transition from sociability to solitude is not about loss but about transformation. It's about growing into a new understanding of ourselves and our place in the world, and in that growth, we have the opportunity to discover new depths of contentment, wisdom, and self-awareness. As we conclude our exploration of this profound life transition, let's carry with us the understanding that solitude, when chosen and embraced, can be a powerful force for personal growth and fulfillment. Let's approach our own journeys, whatever stage we may be in, with curiosity, openness, and a willingness to evolve. For in doing so, we open ourselves to the rich possibilities that each new chapter of life has to offer.